Hello, it's Ashley here from Paper and Twine. Welcome here on a miserable, wet, rainy bank holiday Monday here in the UK. It's a bit of a joke that whenever we have a holiday in the UK, the weather is usually rubbish and it is certainly typical bank holiday weather today. I hope you're all having a lovely day, whatever the weather, wherever you are. We're going to have a little play today, and this may go all wrong. We may have some successes. I have absolutely no idea. So, what are we going to play with today? We are going to play with shrink plastic, or shrinkies as it is sometimes known. I've got quite a lot in my stash that I have bought over the years. I have accumulated quite a lot, and it can be quite expensive. But it comes in, my favourite is this crystal clear, because I think that you can get some effects that look like glass and antique glass. You can also get this frosted shrink plastic. You see, that was £4.25 for I don't know how many sheets. You have to be careful with that. You can get black and you can get white, and I've just got some more crystal clear here from a different company, Fun Stamps. It's a little bit thinner. So we'll have a little play and we'll see what's what. I've gone ahead already and I have die cut some shapes. So I've got a black heart. I've used a die that's got stitching around it, and I've just punched a hole, not very centrally. Sadly, I bought this probably 25 years ago, this lovely little tin from Making Memories. I bought it at the stamping show at Alexander Palace. It's a really good sturdy tin, and it's got a hammer in it, some round nose pliers, some tweezers which I've never used, a kind of pokey tool. There are a couple of needles. I've lost one, and you get a hole punch and a universal setting tool for setting eyelets, and there are 3 different sizes of punch. So you've got a very small one there. I don't know whether that's an 1/8 of an inch or even smaller than that, and then this big one. But over time these have got really dull and won't even stamp through, or punch rather, through paper now. So I wanted to punch a hole in the heart in case I want to dangle something from it. So I found this really old hole punch that I've had since I was a kid probably, and you can't really see where you're punching with it, so I was a bit off. But I have an idea that we might try and heat emboss on this, and obviously because it's shrink plastic we need to apply heat, and the heat will shrink it down. What else have I got? I've done a heart in white, and I think we're going to have a go at colouring this in with some alcohol markers. I've punched a hole in the top and the bottom in case I want to add a small dangle at the bottom and something to hang it up with from the top. And I've used this 1/8 of an inch hole punch that I've got from Stamping Up. It might be too small to do anything with when we've shrunk it down, which is why I didn't use it on this black heart. So we've got those. I have before now die cut some shapes out of clear shrink plastic and applied alcohol ink to it and then heated it down. So I thought we'd have a go at that. I've got this shape here. I think die cutting is quite successful if you use a simple shape. This might be a little bit fussy, and also it's one of those big dies, and I don't think my cutting machine likes it. I haven't quite found out the right combination of layers. So we've got that shape. This one broke but I do like the little swallowtail bits, and yeah, it broke there, but we'll see what it looks like when it's shrunk down. This one was fine, and this one was okay. So we've got those. I'm going to use alcohol ink and alloys on. Then I thought, well, what about if we use an intricate die? And I found this in my stash that I've never used, from Crafter's Companion, and it did cut out. Actually, I've had to go in with my pokey tool to get the little bits and pieces out. I don't know whether you can see that. Let's see if it holds up better behind this. Can you see the holes? I did have to get my pokey tool in there, and I have got a little tear, but I don't think that'll matter when it's shrunk down. There's a little bit there I didn't manage to get out. This might not work. It might be too intricate, and it might fold up on itself. It can be a bit hit and miss, can shrink plastic, which is why I'm not too precious about it, really. You know, if it works, it works. It's a bonus. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm entering a challenge where you've got to do an embellishment box, and I thought that I would maybe put some little adornments on the top of the box. So we're just having a little experiment. And then this is the waste from that butterfly. We'll see if we can do anything with that. And this is the waste from that heart. We'll see if we can do anything with that. And then if we feel like it, I've got some stamps to stamp onto. We'll have a go with the frosted maybe and see what that looks like. Yeah, so what should we do first? I think we'll have a go with some alcohol markers. So I'll just bring these out of my cupboard. It does say on the instructions that the colours go darker when it is heated up. So do I want my colour chart, or should we just go for it? I think we'll just go for it. Again, we'll not be too precious. I guess if you wanted to, you could colour this and stamp over it. This might not work. I've got absolutely no idea. I might have had to have sanded this down first for it to have a proper key. I've got no idea. I've never done this before. I do quite like how you get in the lines on it like you would with alcohol ink. Should we come in with a bit of a different colour? Let's try this and see what this is like. It's a slightly darker colour. You are supposed to be able to blend these pens, but I'm hopeless at colouring, as you have seen on my last make a card video. Not very good at colouring at all, but that's quite nice. Turn it over. Let's do a little bit of dark down the bottom. I'm colouring both sides because I don't know whether I want this to be a hanging element or whether I'm going to glue it down. I've got my heat gun on standby. Blue is behind me on her chair. She has rejected her box today because I've moved it a little bit. She is a funny little thing. I've had a little conversation with Dawn Sutton about this. We're talking about cats, and she was saying how beautiful Blue is, and she came and sat on the sofa by us while we were watching TV last night. And we're watching The Flight Attendant, and one of the actresses is called Zosha, which I think is a beautiful name. And I said to Mr. Paper&Twine, I think I might call my next cat Zosha. And he said, what, you're eyeing up your replacement for Blue already? And I said, no, not a replacement for Blue. I want another one. He put his foot down with a firm hand. There will be no second cat, which is very sad. Because I do wonder whether Blue gets lonely, but I don't know. Should we colour this in while we're here? Should we go different colour or same colour? Speak to me. Speak to me if you can. This is why I'd like to be able to go live so I can have a proper conversation. Should we go red? Let's try rose red. Perhaps we'll do this all one colour, and then we can heat these up at the same time and see what we think about alcohol markers. That's quite a rich colour, isn't it? And it's going to, it says, go deeper when we heat it. But I thought I wouldn't waste the offcuts because this stuff is quite expensive, and you never know, we might get something we can use. You never know, you never know. I'm all for recycling. And in fact, if you saw my collab hosted by Kathy's Favourite Things yesterday, our next project, I wasn't going to say anything, but other people have said what the next project is, so I think I'll be all right. The next project is an altered item, and I haven't quite decided what I'm going to alter yet, whether it's going to be a book or a bottle. I've got a cute little bottle that I might alter, or I've just found a cute little tin that I've got some ideas for, and you never know when little embellishments like this might come in handy. So yes, I'm doing this all one colour. It's not sticking terribly well, so I think perhaps I should have sanded it down to give it a bit of a key, but I didn't do that on the ordinary shrink plastic, the clear that I like. I'm going to use my heat gun, but you can apparently heat this up in the oven. Now this is where we might get in a little bit of a pickle, because sometimes if you've got too much shrink plastic, if your shape is too big, it can fold up on itself. So let's have a little look. Excuse the noise of the heat gun. So this will be hot, so you need to be careful. It hasn't quite fully shrunk because it's still pliable, and some of the colour has come off the back. Let's see if it'll shrink a bit more. No, that's as far as it wants to go, I think. Has its merits. It's interesting how it has gone fat. It does depend which way you cut your plastic as to which ratio it shrinks in, but that's hard now, so that's not going to go any further, and the colour is fast on there, so it's got some potential. I'll just pop that there. Let's have a look and see what this does now. I think I'm going to move this and do it on my glass mat so it doesn't stick to the paper. Let's pop you over there because I don't want to colour you in, do I? Or shrink you rather. Right, this is where we might encounter some problems, so wish me luck. I'm just going to anchor it with this palette knife. We had a little bit of a heart-stopping moment there. That shrunk down quite nicely. It is still hot. My holes are very small, so I doubt I'll be able to get anything in there. I might be able to, and I can always go around the edge here of the white with a bit of gilding wax or something, but that's quite solid. I don't like the harsh lines, so alcohol markers not for me because I'm not very good at blending. But I think if you were colouring in quite a big image that had distinct colours, that could be quite nice. So I might have a go on that. But it's really interesting. I'm so used to using the crystal clear that I'm not enamoured by this opaque look, but each to their own. Somebody might like it, mightn't they? Right, let's have a go next with alcohol ink on these butterflies and waste. I'm just going to get my blending solution. Hold on a minute. So I've got my blending solution. I think you probably could use isopropyl alcohol, but you need quite a high percentage of alcohol. But this actually does blend the colours rather than just help you move them around. So it is different from IPA. I've got some bits and pieces here that I want to colour. And I've got a sheet of thin card that is super smooth so that I don't waste any of this alcohol. I can get some quite nice effects by stamping or blending off onto my paper. So I've got some felt pads, and I know that for one of the projects, I'm going to come in with this broken butterfly. For one of the projects I want kind of quite earthy colours, because I've got a vintage shabby chic vibe going on. So I'm going to try butterscotch. You can see that these are well loved. I've had these a very, very long time, and there's not much of this particular colour left. They are expensive, the Ranger ones, but I bought a whole load from it was a little farm shop somewhere in Northamptonshire. I can't remember where. And they were all £2 instead of £3.99. I don't know what a alcohol ink would cost you now, probably £5, £4.99 or something, if not even more. But while I saw them at £2, I did buy up quite a lot of the colours. But we're going to go with butterscotch, I think, and a little bit of peach Bellini. Again, I've not got much of that left. Now I want a little bit of alloy as well. Let's try gilded. You have to shake these until you hear the ball bearing rattle. There it goes, to blend up the mixatives in it. Let's get rid of that little bit of black off there. What other colours might I want? Let's try a bit of lemonade. Okay, so I'm going to put some blending solution on my felt pad, just to get that moist. Put my lid on that because I don't want it to evaporate. This I've had a very long time. It was £6.55. I'd have got this from Hazel at Dragon's Papercraft probably, and I've probably got just over half a bottle left of it still. Oh no, actually there's a little bit more than that in it. So it does go a long way. Let's try a little bit of this peach Bellini. These are so old. If I won the jackpot, hold on, I've just knocked my butterfly on the floor. If I won the jackpot on the lottery, not that I do the lottery, I would buy every single Tim Holtz product that I could get my hands on. Now this is very pale, you can't really see, but don't forget when we heat this, it is going to go darker. So that's a bit of lemonade I've just put on. We've got a little bit of the peach Bellini. I might have to clean these bottles later. That might be a little job to do. I can't get the lid off this butterscotch. I like this one a lot. I use this when I do my little beach pictures. You only need a couple of drops, and then just give this another shake. Yeah, that's fine. And you only need a tiny bit of this because you don't want it to take over. So I've literally put one little drop of that on there. And then we're just going to go in. Let's get rid of all these little bits of rubbish on here. Need to give this carpet a good hoover. And we're going to come back in and we're just going to pounce and twist and turn our felt so that we colour our little image. And you can see that I'm getting the excess ink onto the card, and that gilding, that alloy will shine through and be beautiful. Okay, now that doesn't look terribly effective at the moment, and I don't know whether I want to introduce a little splash of another colour or a little bit of a little bit more of each colour that I've got on here. It is quite pretty though. Perhaps we'll come in with a little bit more butterscotch. And I've just spilt that on me. A little bit more lemonade. And we'll come in with another little bit of this gilded alloy. I might have put too much on there because I don't want it to take over. That is a little bit better though, but I do want these to be quite subtle, I think is the word I'm looking for. I'm just going to pounce that off. See these little twisty bits you get? They're like little flowers, aren't they? Like little roses. Right, let's heat this now and see what happens. Okay, it is folded in on itself but has actually unfolded, so that is good. And I like how it has kind of bent, so it looks as if the butterfly is flying, and you can see it is quite subtle in its colours. And because I've used the clear shrink plastic, it looks a little bit like stained glass. I did think that I'd got the stamp that coordinated with this die, but I don't think that I have. So that's one colour. Let me show you against that. No, that doesn't help, does it? It's quite delicate, and if you had the right kind of hole punch, you could make these into earrings or something. So that's that one. Just get rid of that. I shall use this for something else. Okay, let's put that to one side. Let's come in with this shape and let's do a different colour. So let's try the patina. I'll put that lemonade back. Oh, patina and silver might be nice. I've got silver mixative. Again, you have to give it a good shake to mix everything up. Patina, denim, stream. Let's try stream. We'll come in with a fresh one of these. And let's try without the blending solution and see what happens. So a little bit of that. Look, I'm getting it on me. Some of this. And actually just keep that out a minute. And a little bit of the silver mixative. I haven't had this one very long. This was a recent purchase. I do love silver. Right, let's have a look here. Hope you can see all right. And so we're just using that twisting, pouncing movement again. And I've got quite a lot of silver on there. I'm going to come in again with a bit more of that stream, I think, just to make it a little bit darker. Okay, let's heat it and see what happens. Okay, I like how that one is flat, but I've got a lot of silver on that side. It's still a bit hot. But if I hold it up, hopefully you can see the translucence of it. And I think I almost prefer it that way. So you've got the glossy side. Right, I'm going to experiment now with a little bit more of this, and I'm going to put you on fast forward if I can. So before we go on and experiment with some stamping, we've got a mixture of successes and fails here, I think. But you know, it was fun experimenting. So it's just bringing what we've got so far. So I think my least favourite is this heart, actually. Yeah, the colours are too bright. It'll come in for something. I am glad that I coloured the front and the back, because it gives me options as to whether it's going to be a little dangle or whether it's going to be actually stuck down to something. Then of course we've used this for from our waist, from that. You see the difference in shape. It's okay. Might chuck it, might keep it, don't know. Then this was waist from this. Now this is a shame. This folded up on itself, as you saw in the video, and I couldn't rescue it. But it's got possibilities. I might have another go at it. I think because it had broken, the structure here was compromised, but you can see that there are possibilities with this kind of cutout effect. It could be quite interesting. Maybe a slightly less intricate die would work, but I like even the little tiny holes in there are okay. So that's the waist from that, and then we've got our butterflies, which have turned out okay, actually. I like this one very much. I prefer that side of it. Bring it up a bit closer for you. But you can see that you have to be really careful with those alloys and mixatives, because I was a little bit heavy-handed and the silver has taken over a little bit. But that could be lovely on a project. I do like this swallowtail shape. The body is a bit bent up, and I had trouble with this one. You saw this was folding up on itself, but I quite like the mark from the palette knife. It makes it look as if the glass is cracked, you know, as if it was made of glass. So that's quite nice. Then this was the first one that we did, and I bent it a little bit while it was still pliable, and you know, a little bit of glue on there, and you've got a really nice little 3D image. I think that'll work really nicely on what I'm wanting to use that for. And then I'm not sure about the colours on this. It's a bit dark, but I do like the kind of stained glass effect you get with it. So we're going to have a go now. This again could be an epic fail. I've got my black piece of shrink plastic that I've already die cut with this stitched heart shape. I'm going to rub it with my anti-static bag. I've got no idea whether this will work or not. And then I've got my background stamp that I like from my Alan Create set with these honeycomb bits, and that's not going to stick on. I need to give that a wash because it's lost its stickiness. Hold on. So all you need to do to restore the stickiness to the back of these cling stamps is just run them under some warm water. I don't even use soap or anything, and that's perfect now. So I'm going to come in with my Wow embossing ink. I do prefer Versamark, but I haven't got any. I don't know where it's gone. I did have some. I'm going to just tap off the excess embossing buddy here. And I'm not going to stamp all over this. I'm just going to do portions. And hopefully it look a little bit like cracking. It might not work. I've got absolutely no idea. I've never done this before. All I've ever done with shrink plastic is stamp my photopolymer type stamps and use the translucent. So I've never even coloured them in before. So we've got a little gap in the middle there, which I might want to cover. going to just do that, I think. It says you. I'm just going to have a little hint of it in the middle there. I've smeared that a bit so it's a bit smudged, but we'll have a look and see what happens. So I've found this gold embossing powder in my stash. It's very, very old. It's a big pot, isn't it? I don't think you get them very this big these days, really. I'm just going to sprinkle this on. Tap off the excess. I've realised actually that I've done this on the reverse with the raised side, but never mind. Let's put the excess embossing powder back in its jar. It's stuck to where I've stamped off my stamp. Okay, let's have a look and see what happens. I have got some embossing powder on the surface of this. I don't know whether you can just see. Am I going to brush it off or am I going to leave it, because it might leave quite nice little speckledy bits? I don't know. This is where I want to be live and have you shout at me, no, don't do that, Ashley. Let's just go for it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's black shrink plastic, which you know, I've never used before. Let's see what's what. Here we go. Oh, look, I've smudged it. Shouldn't have done that, should I? Shall we just heat it and let it set? We know it works, but we get a splodgy effect. And I'm going to leave that as is. So we know that it works, but I shouldn't have turned it over and heated from the side because I melted it again. I wonder what would happen if we embossed on that now and heated it again. I don't know. You can see the little bit of stitching around the edge there, but a little bit of a fail. I think it's quite grungy. It'll come in for something, and I can add some little jemmies on it maybe, and the hole is big enough for me to thread something through at the top. We'll come back to that perhaps. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is have a go at stamping something on the clear shrink plastic to show you what that looks like. Let's pop that there. I've not used that new one before. That's very sticky. This art one I have, it's not so sticky, it's coming off. Let's just put that back in its little packet. I do love this. I think it's an A6. Yeah, it's an A6 stamp pad. Ada Domiskiewicz or somebody. I do like her little images. Let's pop you in there, nice and safe. Right, so this is one of my all-time favourite stamps. You've seen me use this a lot. And I'm going to try, I've never used this before on shrink plastic. I'm going to try my VersaFine Claire, and let's find some clear. So this is very old. I've got a scrap there that's got some ink on it already. I think that will be perfect. I'm just going to cut that down like so. Ink up. And apply to my shrink plastic. I'm going to let that sit a minute, keep our fingers crossed. So at the moment, I think we're 50-50 success and fail. I suppose if you wanted to be really certain that you'd done this well, you could do it in a stamp platform, but you can see I've got the image there. So this is the side with my wet ink. Keep our fingers crossed that this ink is okay. I haven't used this on shrink plastic before. They do advise that you use stays on, but I'm just experimenting. We're playing. So let's have a look and see. Let's get my little palette knife in case we run into difficulties. Perfect. I think it has dried okay. Let's just turn it over. Oh no, it has, you can see that the ink is still wet, so I'm going to just pop that to one side. So part of her face has disappeared, but we'll come back to that. And see how we get on. I've just got one more experiment I want to show you. I'm going to run some white, some black, some frosted and some clear through an embossing folder to see what we get. So I'm going to do that and show you the results. So I've had a nice little time experimenting. Just thought I'd show you, I have lit the tea light from Andrea, and it smells lovely in my little jar there with my name on, so I'll pop that out the way. So we've had a lovely little play. I'm behind schedule, but went down a little rabbit hole of experimenting. So I'll bring in the first things that we did, which were the hearts and butterflies, and we had varying degrees of success with those. So this was the white shrink plastic with alcohol markers. It's okay, you know. That was the waste from that. I don't know, might just chuck it, we'll see. Let me know what you think down below. This was the waste from a butterfly. Quite interesting, maybe not. This was the butterfly that failed. Poor little butterfly. Again, we used alcohol ink and yeah, alcohol ink rather than alcohol markers, and this was on the clear shrink plastic, and this was a die cut piece with quite intricate holes, and yeah, it folded up on itself and I couldn't rectify it. These ones are the most successful and I shall be using these. This was almost a fail with the little mark in it from the palette knife, but yes, we like that. We like that. This is slightly different colours, although it looks the same. And you get a shiny side and a more dull side, more matte side. This one's grown on me, the lettuce and Valencia orange. It's quite nice. I'd have to stick it that way because I wouldn't be able to stick it that way. It wouldn't adhere to anything. So you've got the shiny side, which is quite nice. And then this was the first one that we did, which again I quite like, and I think that'll work on the project that I want it for. This was a semi-fail. We inked in embossing ink and put gold embossing powder on and melted it, and it looked like it was working all right, although it was quite thick. You didn't get the detail of the image, and I turned it over and smudged everything and melted it, but that's dried quite nicely, and you know, it's quite a nice little embellishment. It'll come in for something, I'm sure. Then I had a play with stamping, and you saw me do this one. The VersaFine Claire does work. It's dry now, she says confidently. There's no ink coming off that, and there's that lovely little image. So it kind of looks like a little piece of glass to me, and that's why I do like the clear as opposed to the white and the black. And then I did this, found this stamp in my stash, which I think is beautiful actually. And I've done this on translucent, and with a translucent shrink plastic you get a rough side and a smooth side, and you are to stamp on the rough side, and there's a nice texture to that actually. I really like that. So that's going to make a nice embellishment for something. Then I did my favourite little blue tit and coloured it in with alcohol markers. I don't know whether you can see the little bit of yellow and blue there. If I hold it up to the light, which you can't see obviously, it is quite pretty. And then I had a play with the different shrink plastics and embossing folders, and I cut some 2-inch squares. So I've got white, black, translucent and clear. They did impress into the plastic, but when I melted it, you get nothing at all on the black. Whether I'd run it through twice and get a deeper impression and that would work, I don't know. On the white, I doubt you'll be able to see, but there is a slight, very, very, very slight impression, but no, to all intents and purposes you can't see anything. But that can make a nice little embellishment. I can put a little bit of twine through there, and a button or a little word out of a dictionary or book, you know, it'll come in for something. Translucent is a nice texture, but again you can't see anything. On the clear there is a very, very, very faint suggestion in the corner, I don't know whether you can see that, of the flowers that were in the embossing folder, and I do like that because it looks a bit like cracked glass, so that'll add a bit of interest to something. You can just about make out. These were all embossed at the same time, these four, in the same folder, to save me going through lots of times with my embossing machine. I think if I'd run it through twice that might have been okay. Then I used a bigger piece and run it through twice, and you can just see, or at least I hope you can just see, there is a very faint impression there. I don't know whether that will make it, no, that won't make it easier to see if I hold it against black. Yeah, you can just see there that there's an impression. So that was quite nice. And I've cut a little hole in that, so that can be a little tag. This was one that I did a while ago, and I got quite a nice kind of cracking with it. I think this might be a different plastic. This might be the Shrinkles or Shrinkies, which is a better quality of shrink plastic than the Fun plastic. So I got quite a nice impression with that. I did have another go with the white, running it through a different embossing folder twice, but no, the plastic was too big. If your pieces of plastic are too big, they will fold up on themselves and find it hard to rectify themselves. So that was a fail, so that's going in the bin. And don't get rid of any of your little bits. You can stamp sentiments on these little bits and shrink them down just for a little bit of dimension. So I won't be throwing those bits away because they are quite expensive. So let me know what you think about shrink plastic. Would you have a go? I'm sorry it's quite a long video, but we were experimenting together. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a regular, welcome back. If you're not subscribed, I'd love you to come and craft with me again and subscribe one day. Thank you. Bye.